Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 31 of Petey's Awesome Guest Panel. I still can't believe I reached 31. That's amazing. I thought I would not pass 3. My guest at this time he is a Power Ranger legend, a Fox Kids legend, a teen heartthrob to all Power Ranger female friends, and any fans in general, and also a 90s legend. He is definitely one of my favorite Rangers growing up. I've been a fan of this man's work since I was an 8-year-old lad, and I'm 30 now. And we just say that I still feel like I'm 8 years old. Like, talking to this gentleman makes me feel like I'm 8 again. My guest at this time is Mr. Justin Zane Nimmo. How are you today, Justin?
Hello, hello. Hey, thanks for having me on here. Hope you don't mind if my cat gets a little bit nosy and wants to, barge in on our interview here.
Not at all.
My cat on one side, and I've got my cow costume on the other side, but it kind of freaks him out when he sees it, so it's like, "Row!" and he gets scared.
Not a problem. It's such a, and also, like, you're also the second guest star I had where, aside from Christopher Kamen Lee, where I actually met in person. Like, you're the
yeah,
second.
we did meet.
I do want to thank you, though. Again, I may sound like a broken record, but I do want to thank you again for the autograph.
Look at that! Yes!
Definitely Team Zane.
Hey, what shirt are you wearing?
Oh, I'm wearing I'm Power Rangers in general, so I got to show my support.
There you go.
Now, before I get into the in-space questions, I do want to ask like a couple of preliminary questions and also a cliche question, and that is, how did you get started into acting? Take me there.
Let's go way back then, I guess. So, I was going to college in, I guess it was like 93 in Oklahoma, and my mom, I was carpooling with her. So we would drive in the same car. I'd drop her off at work. I'd go to school. After school, I'd pick her up, and then we'd go home. So we were carpooling. But one day she said, "Hey, you should meet somebody that I work with." And I was like, "Oh, okay. I'm picking you up. Why not?" Well, it ended up being a co-owner to a talent agency in Oklahoma. And that lady had said, "Oh, well, you need to talk to the owner person." And I said, "Sure." I didn't know that it was actually acting. I wasn't real sure what it was, other than my mom told me to do it. And I showed up, and I seen this lady, and she said, "Here's the spiel. Here's what we do. We need to get some pictures made." So I took some pictures. She saw it, and she's like, "Oh my God, that picture is going to win." And I was like, "Win what? I don't understand." And she said, "Well, the competition I told you about." So every year they would go to a competition either in New York or Los Angeles called IMTA, International Talent and Model Association. International Model and Talent, or International Talent and Model. I don't know. It's one of those, IMTA or IMTA. Anyways, you enter into a bunch of different competitions, and I think I entered into like 13, and I placed, I think, in, I don't even know, 8 maybe, something like that. But the one that I won was the one that she said. It was just a picture of me smiling. It was the best smile picture. So you're actually at a competition that has people from around the world, and casting directors and agencies and all that kind of stuff. So after that was over, a couple of people said, "If you'll move to California, we'll represent you and send you out on audition." So went back home, raised some more money, moved out to California with a few friends, had a bunch of auditions, and I got lucky and landed a chance to audition for the Power Rangers. When I got the part, I told actually, before I got the part, I told my friend, my roommate, Marshawn, and he said, "Oh, don't do it, man. You're going to be stereotyped as Urkel, and you'll never work anything else." And I was like, I mean, what if I did Power Rangers forever? So anyways, I got the job, and then when I got the first check, I laughed at him. So, kind of turned the tables on him.
Very cool. And before we get into the Power Ranger questions, I do want to ask about your memories on working on Saved by the Bell, because you were on an episode called The New Class, where you played a character named Drew.
Yes, and I was a wrestler.
Yes.
So that was pretty easy, since I wrestled in high school and I wrestled in college. So obviously I knew a lot about wrestling, but the little kid that had to wrestle, one of the stars, I don't even remember what his name was, it's been so long, but I remember after we wrestled, seeing him over with the other female co-star. I guess they were dating, because she was kind of like taking care of it, and all I could think of was, how did I do that to him? Like, I didn't even mean to hurt him. But yeah, that was an easy one.
Oh, okay. And again, like you totally nailed that role. Like, but then again, you nail any type of role you're in though, because you have that natural charisma.
Well, thanks.
No problem, sir. Now, what were your memories on working on Pleasantville?
Oh my gosh, there's lots of memories with that. It filmed north of Los Angeles, pretty close to where we were filming Power Rangers at, but it was on a school, high school campus, I believe, and this was kind of in the mountains. So when you're in the parking lot and you're looking out, you can just, see for miles because you're kind of elevated and stuff. So beautiful place. But what was my name? Mark something, and I think they called them my lackeys, the two other guys that were like my friends or whatever. When we walk up on the school campus and walk over to Reese Witherspoon and her friend, and they're like, "Hey, what's up?" And had our little lines. It was basically, "Hey, you want to come over to my house?" And you know what? I was like, "Yeah, I'll be there." So I show up at the house, and when I did and I knocked on the door, she didn't answer because she had been zapped into the TV show of Pleasantville, into the black and white. But when I was knocking on the door, the director said, "Okay, here's what I want you to do." And I mean, just kept it real vague. He's like, "Walk up there, knock on the door, and say bitch." I did it, and I looked at it, and I was like, "Well, that I think could, maybe use some improvement." And I was, I don't know why I even spoke up like that, but he had asked me, he goes, "Well, what do you mean?" And he said, "You're a kid. You know these things better than I do because this is about kids." And I said, "Well, for one, I knocked on the door and immediately said bitch, but I didn't even give her time to come to the door." So he said, "All right, well, then let's change it up a little bit." So, we changed it up a little bit, and we did one as bitch, gave it a little bit of time, and then another one, a little PG-13 rated. But I remember sitting down at the table to eat lunch, and Reese Witherspoon had came sat next to me, and kind of like talked for a little while, and she said she was headed back to her trailer to, I think, check on her dog or something like that.
Okay.
And I heard Don Knotts' voice, like over the PA type thing or whatever it was that I could hear. I was like, "Whoa, dude, that's Don Knotts." Like, I grew up listening to that voice. I didn't even see him. I didn't know he was in the movie. I just heard the voice, and I was like, "That's Don Knotts. Somewhere around here, I hear him." Sure enough, it was him.
Oh, very cool. And um, your memories on working on the 2003 American Indian Graffiti, This Life as Brad Pitt.
That's one I don't even remember anything other than saying that I've done it. So it's like I don't remember anything about that at that time. I've tried watching it. I've had other people watch it, and I guess when they did the editing, they must have snipped me out.
Oh, you very. Uh, now, now I want to see if this is true or not, but it says you were also in Dude, Where's My Car? Can you confirm that?
Yes, somewhere, somehow, I did something in that. You have to remember that so many of these things were so long ago that it's kind of hard to remember, and it's rough to tell people to try to explain it. But this is a good scenario of way of doing it. When somebody comes and asks me something kind of specific, say, "Do you remember your belt on Power Rangers?" And it's like, all right, so let me play a little game with you. 21 years ago, when you were at work on a Tuesday and you're wearing jeans, do you remember what jeans you had on? What do you think about those jeans? So it's like, yeah. So basically, in the acting world, the way that it works is, I want to say that each time you get a gig, it's a small acting job. So in other words, you go out and you apply for jobs, you get one. Usually you work a day and you get fired, then you get an audition again and work for another one. So, you might work hundreds of jobs. We call them, acting, but you only had to work one day. So it's like I did lots of work. I just don't remember everything from way back then.
I understand. Now we're gonna dive into the Power Ranger questions, and before I get into that, let me just say that it takes me back to 1998, you know, and you'll be proud of me on this one though. Like back in the day, I used to go to Blockbuster and I used to rent the Power Rangers in Space tape, and I remember because there were 3 episodes on that tape. It was Countdown to Destruction, both parts, and Astronomer Thinks Twice.
And
Uh,
Astronomer Thinks Twice. So part 1 and part 2, and then Astronomer Thinks Twice. So yeah,
but
I was in all 3 of those.
Yep, and I'm gonna talk about those episodes, you know, soon. The first question I have for Power Rangers related is that, what were your memories on doing your debut episode, Survival of the Silver?
Is that the one where I was introduced?
Yeah, when you were frozen in the chamber and then you were defrost.
Right. I remember being inside of the little chamber, and it's funny that a lot of people asked me if it was cold. That was just for look, so it wasn't really cold. I was not cryogenically frozen. But I remember them saying something about wiggle your fingers, wiggle them faster, wiggle them slower. I was like, what is this? So literally, I got a glove on, and the camera's on my hand, and I'm, doing this. Whether I'm going fast, I'm going slow, or I'm doing big, it's like, this is just a hand movement thing. This is too much.
Very, very funny.
But I come out of the ship kicking butt.
That's true. But then you always kicked butt, though.
Yeah, I did. You know what? How many times did I get beat down?
Very rarely. Unless you count that flip when you sneak. You remember?
Okay. Yeah, Chris gave me the flip when I was in the red psycho suit.
You pranked them good, though. I will say that you pranked them good.
Now, that flip was one of the very few stunts they would let me do because they didn't want us to do the stunts in case a actor was to get hurt. They'd have to stop filming. So I had to beg to do that stunt, if you will want to call it a stunt, but a little flip.
You didn't get hurt, though, did you, during that
flip?
No.
Okay. No, I knew how to do it. They didn't want me to do it.
I see. And memories of doing the episode, and because Christopher, like, on screen and off screen is like your best friends on screen and off screen. But this is one episode where like there was like tension between both sides, as you know, on screen, and that is Red with Envy, where they think Zane is making a move on Ashley, then Andros gets jealous. So I just want to get your memories of doing that episode.
Is that the one where I'm standing behind Tracy and doing some kind of telekinesis, something or another?
Yes, that's the one.
Yeah, I remember shooting that scene. I just have this vague memory of seeing my hand doing this number, and there was one of the things off the table or something they had on a string, like a fishing string, so you couldn't see it, and it was moving. That was supposed to be me moving it. So yeah, that's the part that I remember from that episode anyways.
Oh, okay. And now the ship though itself, the Astro ship, like what was that? Was that a sound stage, or like how was that, like the scene done? Like what was the location of that ship?
Okay, so the ship was at the studio that we filmed at. I want to say it's maybe Valencia, California. It's like northern part of LA. And it's all built inside of the studio, on set. So in a huge warehouse, they have a great big, it doesn't look like a ship from the outside, you know what I mean? You kind of walk into this huge room, and in this huge room, it looks like they built a house. So everything's filmed on the inside and makes you think that you're in a ship. So yeah, there was no dome over the top of us, no smoke coming out the back or nothing, but the floor that we walked on was elevated off of the ground for whatever reason. So a lot of times our Doc Martens would make a lot of noise walking around, and they'd have to do voiceover stuff because of that.
Okay. And memories of working with the cast, with Christopher, Selwyn, Tracy, Patricia, Roger, and I'll get into Melody later because Melody, you had a significant episode with her, but memory of working with the Rangers.
They all hated me, and they all still hate me. Just kidding. Chris was told not to like me before I ever showed up. Then when I showed up, because he took over the red suit, when I showed up, he was afraid I was going to take over his red suit, like this was just going to be an ongoing thing or something. But they literally told him not to like me because it's supposedly something to do with his character. And when he realized it was not going to work, he's like, hey, Nemo's cool. I'm hanging out with Nemo. So he comes over to my house, and I made him dinner, but I tried to kill him with garlic, not knowing that he was allergic to it.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, it was bad.
I definitely interviewed. I interviewed Chris last night. He's an awesome guy. You're an awesome guy. You guys both are legends, and I just, it was very cool meeting you guys in the PowCon last January. I mean, this is I'll tell you this one though too, Justin, that watching Power Rangers, I was that kid that was watching Power Rangers in space every weekday after school while eating Lunchables and drinking blueberry Kool-Aid.
You knew exactly what you're having. See, I could have asked you a question 20 years ago after school while you're watching Power Rangers. What were you eating? And you already know it.
I can tell you also what I had for breakfast when In Space aired on Saturdays. I can tell you I was eating with Countdown to Destruction. I was eating Blueberry, the Blueberry
Really?
cereal. Yep. It was Halloween time.
That was your favorite, I guess, huh?
Yeah, well, that and also Apple Jacks.
Right on. I don't think I've ever had Apple Jacks, but I should try.
It's very good, and you'll be proud of me on this one too. That growing up, I had the Morphers. I had your Morpher, and I had the In Space Rangers Morpher. But I had the super one, which was like very long and cool. So, again, that's how invested I was in Space. Like, in fact, I wish that you were in the episode with the Ninja Turtles, because I was curious to know what your reaction would have been to seeing a Ninja Turtles Power Rangers crossover.
Yeah, the Turtles came in before I got there.
The next question
So is this the see if I can find it here. Is this what you said you had?
Yes, I had that one.
Like a little phone, huh?
That was my first closest thing I ever had to a cell phone back in the day.
Did you have any little figures?
I actually did have that. I remember because there was no colors on the little, like the squares. I didn't have that one though. I had like a different one though. I think it was less shinier than that one.
Yeah, there's been several of them. That was just one of them.
I had red, black, and silver.
Right. Have you seen that? Did I have that coin at PowCon?
You did. I didn't chance to get it. Maybe if things go well and COVID dies down and there's a PowCon next year, you could definitely bet I would be there.
Right.
This next question is, many fans asked about this question, including myself, because I think this was a perfect episode, a perfect Zane episode, and that is A Date with Danger. And this was one of my favorites. I mean, aside from Countdown to Destruction, memories of doing A Date with Danger. This is the one where you had the date with Astronomer.
Where she blew me up.
And you said that line I love to this day. Those were long stem roses.
Those were long stem roses. Yeah, I remember the director, I heard him talking about the scene, saying that, she's to blow him up, and then he was like, well, I mean, we can tear his clothes up and stuff, but, how can we get smoke out of his mouth? And again, that becomes one of those SAG things that they don't want to do something that's dangerous. And I looked at him, I said, well, I don't smoke, but I'll smoke on a cigarette and blow the smoke out, and then you can, it'll look good for you. And they said, okay. So I got paid to smoke cigarettes on set, I guess.
Now, but with that scene though, when Astronomer blasted Zane though, how did they do it? Like, you went from being like all clean, and then when she zapped, then you had the soot on, like all the stuff. Like, what was the SFX on that one?
So basically, she shot her staff at me. That made a big boom, and it blew up the roses and tore up my clothes and stuff like that. Trying to remember if that's the shirt that I still have. It's like I took a shirt from the set that was not destroyed, and I think it was from that episode. So it was like this really kind of cool looking silver shirt, but it seems like that shirt was in Countdown to Destruction too. So here, let me see if you have a memory in your head of what that looked like. I'll show you the shirt.
Was it a gray shirt? I'm curious to know if it was a gray shirt. Yeah,
So it looks like that.
I remember that.
Yeah, so I've got that shirt without it being all tore up, you know.
I see. And with that episode, because I'm a guy that definitely likes to know the behind the scenes stuff, was the food that you prepared when you brought back and you saved the Melody Astronomer, was that real food that you were brewing up?
They had dry ice inside of a little bucket, I guess. It was a really small thing, but it was really just dry ice and no food really. Like I don't think I even put it in my mouth. I just pretended to say what it was, like it needed more salt or something.
Yep.
Trying to remember that scene. Something like I think it needs more salt.
And what was it like working with Melody Perkins?
Oh, wow. Melody is professional, straightforward, tries to nail it on the first time. It's so funny that um, astronomy is like a stretch for her. That's way out of her normal range, you know? So she was pretty excited just to get that job. She's like, wow, I don't know. I'll play with it, I guess. But she did a great job. Yeah, she's still just as sweet as can be.
Very cool. And that episode, A Date with Danger, though, many fans say that this is the episode that solidified and cemented how much of a protagonist and hero Zane is, and to a point where everyone was felt really bad, like what happened to him, like when basically Astronomer, literally blew him up, but also blew his heart up figuratively.
Yes. She
I
broke my
felt
heart.
I felt bad for you, Zane, Justin.
Justin. That's one of the things that Chris says. A lot of people, Chris said that a lot of people refer to him, I had to turn that the other way, refer to him as Andros. And he's always like, my name is Chris. So you said Zane, it made me think of that.
Oh, no, I meant to say Justin, my mistake.
You're good.
No, but it definitely is an episode that showed a lot of sympathy towards Zayn. I mean, I'm one of those people because I was a Zayn fan. Plus, I could totally relate because when I was a kid, I had platinum blonde hair, so I could definitely relate on that blonde aspect.
Well, yeah, your hair's as long as Chris was back then, so you could put the blonde streaks in it and be Andros.
Yeah, I said he inspired my long hair, Chris, but I could definitely say I had the blonde hair like you, Justin.
Right on. So every bit of your long hair was blonde?
No, I didn't have a blonde hair. My hair was actually short when I was a kid. I had like a mushroom haircut.
But it was blonde?
It was blonde, platinum blonde. I'll actually show you a picture. I'll send you a picture after this interview, like what my hair looked like back in the day.
So you bleached before you grew it
No,
out, which means I came before Chris.
no, I never bleached my hair.
You're just naturally blonde?
Yeah, I was naturally blonde. And as I got older, my hair became darker and darker.
That's crazy. Did you have blue eyes at one time too?
Yeah, but then it turned bluish green.
Right on.
Yeah, I mean, I was like, as when I was younger, I had platinum blonde hair, and then as I got older, it started to darken
Yeah.
to the hair I have today. John from Instagram wants to know, is there any reason why you didn't appear? Oh, let me get to that question later. Sophia Wild wants to know from Instagram, what was the moment you enjoyed the most filming A Date with Danger?
Probably that part where I rode in on the motorcycle and actually got blew up. I mean, it was kind of repetitive. The part where she puts the mushroom on the end of the staff, or I put the mushroom on the end of the staff, whatever, that kind of was repetitive. So the driving in and getting blown up was a lot better.
I see. And
How did that episode end?
it ended. This is what I had sympathy for your character. I had sympathy for Zane, where like it was everybody on the ship, and you had your head like this, like in an upset matter because the girl you loved just it was like there was no other chance to get her back until she turned good.
So was it the following episode that that we did get together?
I'm not sure actually. I gotta rewatch. I gotta binge watch because I am a huge Power Ranger fan. I binge watch all the episodes.
Well, there was a scene that we had kissed, but I didn't remember if it was actually that episode or a later episode.
I remember that, and there was also a scene where like you look at a movie poster, you're with Patricia and Tracy, and then you fantasize it's you and Astronomer, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah, just 20 years ago, it was kind of a, I don't
Romeo
know,
and Juliet.
ahead of time. Yeah, Romeo and Juliet moment.
Sophia Wilde also wants to know: do you think they should have continued the Zane Astronomer love storyline? Like,
I think that it would have went over really well. Yeah, I mean, obviously they did what they wanted, and it's worked for them. But I mean, what would have happened if Zane and Astronomer hooked up, and the next season we were married Power Rangers, first time ever happened, and next thing you know, we've got baby Power Rangers running around. I mean, how cool would that have been?
yeah, and you would have been a Lost Galaxy Ranger because Melody wound up becoming the Pink Ranger for Lost Galaxy.
Yeah, we would have had pink and silver babies.
So that would be glitter pink, right? Or like
Yeah, that'll work. Glitter pink,
um
shiny pink.
now the next question I have is from well, this is my question, my mistake. And the question is, in episode 5 of a Kind, we finally got to see in some aspects Justin Nimmo in an antagonist role, albeit pretendingly when you were Psycho Silver. Your memories
Yes.
of doing Psycho Silver, pretending to be one of the Psycho Rangers.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the whole idea was that I was going to be able to sneak into their little group of people and really wreck their world. So putting on that suit was kind of crazy because at first I wasn't sure if I was going to be the bad guy or how that was going to work out. But um, it had a different feel to wear that suit than it did to wear the Power Ranger suit, like the spandex. It was just a little more powerful feeling or something. It kind of felt great.
And memories of working with Psycho Rangers like Patrick David.
You know, I seen Patrick for the first time at probably PMC a few years back. And it was funny when he came up to me, he said, we've talked on the phone quite a bit, but this is the first time that we have actually met. In other words, on the show, we never actually face to face shook hands and said hi because our scenes were shot differently. But he said one time he saw me on set and tried to get my attention. I guess I was walking away or something, but we didn't get to talk. So I don't really remember having an actual scene with him. So in the Psycho suit, the only time that I was actually in the Psycho suit other than the red one when Chris did the flip was when the helmet was off. So all of the fighting scenes, if the helmet was on, it wasn't me. So I didn't get to experience those moments.
I see. And did you have a particular favorite episode of In Space?
Countdown to Destruction.
That's what. No, I'm talking about that one too, because that's one of my favorites too. Because it was such a tense, anticipation was running wild with this episode, especially watching this as as an 8-year-old kid watching this. Anticipation was running wild for all fans. Your memories of doing both parts of Countdown to Destruction?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing that I remember is that was obviously the finale, and they had already told us that Power Rangers wasn't going to work anymore, and they're going to basically throw the kitchen sink at it. In other words, do the best they can do and just be done. So, we killed Zordon and all kinds of stuff. But that episode, a part of that episode was shot downtown Los Angeles, and my dad was in California at the time, so he got to sit there and actually watch it be done. So it had several meanings to that episode, where it was at, who was there. I got to stand in the middle and, as Chris and other people say, oh, you basically filled in for the Red Ranger because there's a spot when he's off killing Zordon and I'm with everybody else.
I see. And but overall, that was a great episode of the film, right?
Yes, very good. Lots of extras that we could talk to and hang out and learn things from. So it was definitely a great episode.
I agree. It's one of my favorites. Top 5 favorite In Space episodes. I do want to know, and this is my next question though. We move too forward to Lost Galaxy. I mean, I know you were in the Lost Galaxy, but John from Instagram wants to know, in episode To the 10th Power, It was a known episode where the Psycho Rangers came back to fight the Lost Galaxy and In Space Rangers. Many fans noticed that you were not part of this episode. Was there a reason why?
The writers and the casting people did not call to ask me to be in it for whatever reason. Usually it's because they just didn't write that character into the script for that part. So if they didn't write me in, I couldn't really do much about it. So I wasn't there, you know.
I
It's a
see.
bummer. Would have been nice.
It sucks because you know what? Like not having you is like not having the genie in the third Aladdin movie.
Exactly.
Because I always thought your role was very like your important role because like you're like you may have been the ranger that came like later, like for instance Tommy came later in Mighty Morphin, and Ninja Storm, the gentleman that played Blake and Hunter came later, but
Right.
this is a time where you were the sixth ranger.
Yeah. So why didn't that's just not fair, was it?
No, not at all. And this is coming from someone that is definitely Team Zane.
There you go.
Now, like, would you ever like? Here's a good question too. Like, would you ever like go back to like if they had like a team? I mean, they had many team ups in the past where all the Rangers come back and they team up in many things. I think in the recent series they did that. Would you be open to doing that if they
Heck
all?
yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean, they're filming in New Zealand. Who doesn't want to go to New Zealand anyways? Speaking of New Zealand, Kat lives there. And next time you talk to Kat, you should ask her about the song Oklahoma.
Oklahoma?
Yeah. She'll know what I'm saying.
Okay, and because would you be able to give her like a shout out like during this interview? Because she's your close friend. She's one of my good friends.
Kat is my good friend, and she has the most beautiful little voice. She is a hard-working actress in New Zealand doing all kinds of stuff. So all of us were lucky to have her on the Power Rangers.
Amen. And I did tell her that when I interviewed her because I interviewed many Power Rangers alumni in the past, and she was one of them. And I told her that back in 2003 when I was in junior high, I mean I was hazed and bullied in junior high, and I told her that her characters that she portrayed, Myra Capri on Ninja Storm, her and Katrina Devine, really were definitely an influence on, like one of my influences on me, like standing up for myself against bullies.
Good for you. See, it helped. I've
Yeah,
heard so many stories about the Power Rangers doing so many positive things, and there's one for you.
absolutely. And definitely I'm proud to say that, like I've had like, many villains on the show. I've had Vernon Wells on the show. I've had, Latham Gaines, Cat Brown, and of course, one of my good friends and yours too, Amy Roll.
Oh, Amy.
Definitely very sweethearted woman. Like Kat, another good friend of mine, very sweetheart woman, hardworking mother. Can you give her a shout out?
Yeah, whenever, I mean, the last time that I really remember being with her was down in Texas. Her and Reggie were there, and one of the fans had brought in, I think it's San Antonio, one of the fans had created this picture, like, a picture, but it was, I don't know, probably 4 foot by 4 foot. It was huge. And dude completely drew this thing of them. It was amazing. So I don't know. I'm sure they've probably got it on their page posted somewhere, but wow, that was a hell of a gift.
Awesome. And
I'm sure it's hanging on their wall, but I mean, it's not like they can put it on the airplane, but I would imagine they had that dude, wrapped up and shipped home, and it's most likely hanging on the wall.
now you mentioned the gifts though, the fans, like, and I asked this question to Christopher. What was the most interesting or like coolest like gift you have received from fans?
The coolest gift I've received from fans. Wow. I've gotten so many gifts and they're all so great. I've had actual toys. I've had 3D printed toys. I've had shirts and hats. I've got I think I got 2 pairs of socks. I've gotten a crazy amount of stuff from fans. In my living room, there's only one thing in my living room that's Power Rangers. and this has been sitting on there. So this is can't quite read the name on it, but I'm sure whoever drew this
That's cool.
will know. So it sits on its own little easel.
That's so cool.
Yeah, pretty neat.
Very,
So
very
yeah, I mean, I get all kinds of really great gifts, and I appreciate each one of them very much.
Now, another fan asked me this too. Like, did you have like an inspiration like before like doing the role as a Power Ranger? Did you have any inspirations to any like former Rangers in the past before prior to you?
No, the crazy thing about it was, all right, so the show started in what, 93, and we were there in 98, and I probably auditioned in 97. So it's not like Power Rangers was uh huge back then. I mean, it was big, but I don't know that I would say it's as huge back then as it is now. But yeah, it's just it's not even the same now as it was then, because it's so much bigger.
I see. And I gotta ask, I mean, like I don't know like if you worked with them or not though, but I think you did though because they were on In Space like as cameos, but did you work with Carla and Hillary Shepard?
Diva Talks?
Diva Talks and Rita Repulsa.
I don't remember actually working with him, but there's a good chance they were probably in one of the episodes that I was in. I mean, obviously I've met them in person a few times and love both of them to pieces, but I don't remember actually working with them on set. Hell, I might have worked with them on set on something else and didn't even know it.
Now, did you get were you part of the 2018 Morphicon or no?
Yes.
Okay. Memories of doing the 2018 Morphicon.
That was not my first Morphicon. My first was 2016, and I had no idea what to expect. I was not warned at all. It was way bigger than what I ever thought, because I mean, just, I don't know, 6-9 months earlier, I learned about conventions. I didn't even know there was such a thing as a convention, and Chris came to town and kind of taught me all about it. So I went from a little bitty comic book store to a gigantic PMC. And there's so many people and so many outfits and so much support. It is amazing. I don't even, you have no idea how hard it is to even like grasp what all that feeling is in words.
Incredible. And I'll say this too, and I told Kat this during the interview that I said I wish I was at the 2018 Morphicon because if I was there, I would the first thing I would say before I would ask my question would be, before I ask my question, let me just say thank you for not only for being here, but thank you for those childhood memories you all gave me watching Power Rangers grow up. I mean, I've been a fan since 1990. I mean, since it first came on. Me and my sister were huge fans since '95. And did you see the picture I posted though, like on the Instagram, where it was like me like 20 years ago with the Power Ranger lunchbox, and then it's a picture of me
One
now.
side and the other side. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's how much of a huge fan I was. Like Power Rangers still to this day holds a huge heart and a huge place in my heart. And
they still give you memories because you still watch them. So I mean, you still learn, you still watch, you still enjoy.
yep, and I could like say this is because In Space is one of my favorite seasons. I love all of them, but like In Space is definitely one of my favorites, especially with the theme song too. Like controls to outer space now. Like I love it. It was so good. Just brings
I
back.
was rolling through something on my phone today, and I went across, I think it was on Instagram, and it was a video, and when I rolled across it and it started playing and my speaker was on loud, and I was like, okay, yeah, I've heard that before. Let's turn it down.
It definitely gives me great memories. Now, I somebody brought this up on the interview that I did with Chris, though. They said that it's very cool knowing that it was In Space. It was the In Space season that actually saved the Power Ranger franchise. Did you feel that, or like during productions, or did you think that this was going to be the final season season of the series.
We were told that by like our writers and directors that the ratings were so low that it was going to close, like be done into the end of the franchise. But when they were told that, they decided that they were going to um, put everything into the writing that they could and just, blow it out of the water and be done with it. But when they did that, the ratings went up. So they stuck around. And from what I understand, every few years, Power Rangers kind of goes through a reset. They'll come out with a great cast and a great storyline, and the ratings will do really good. And the next one's not so good. The next one's not so good. And sometimes the next one's great. So it just kind of like ratings go down, ratings go up. We were catching it at the bottom, and we were one that helped it go back up. To say that we literally saved the franchise, well, I wouldn't go that far, but evidently we helped.
I I agree, and there's also very interesting facts about Zane too. Like the stats show that he's the second Ranger to not be from Earth. Like he's from KO 35. Like Andros, he's not like from Earth. And also the thing about Zane too is that he is one of the final Power Rangers of the Zordon era, because after In Space was the post Zordon era, and
Right.
you were actually part of history because you were one of the very last Rangers to be part of the of the Zordon era.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, it was the only silver one in the Zordon era.
Yeah, well, you're also, I think, I could be wrong on this, but I think you're the only Silver Ranger in general. Like, I don't remember seeing a Silver Ranger. I could be wrong. Could be.
Yeah, there's like platinums and stuff like that, like Cameron Jibo.
Oh, okay.
He's silver. So I was the first silver, but there's been more, yeah.
And that's
Look
the
at this
first.
cute little guy.
He's adorable.
He's loving me.
I can relate. I have three turtles of my own. Actually, two tortoises and one aquatic turtle.
An aquatic turtle. Is it little bitty?
She's 2 years old. She's definitely big though.
Oh, it's not like this big. It's a lot bigger.
Huge. I'll actually send you pictures like on Instagram showing how big they are, because I have a
Oh,
Russian tortoise, Herman tortoise, and a red ear slider.
okay, yeah, some pictures.
I'll send pictures definitely. Now another fan asked too. Don't you think that we had movies for Mighty Morphin and Turbo? Don't you think they should have been an in space movie?
There was actually. They took out. Let me make sure I'm wording this right. So at the end of the season, they basically took little clips from each episode and made a movie out of it.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, but it's just like little clips that they had put together in order to make one episode that kind of covered all of them, I guess, from what I remember. Hell, who knows? I could be totally wrong on that.
Fair enough. Now we talked about your favorite episode. Did you have a least favorite episode of In Space?
No, because they were all good. Yeah, they were all good. I was trying to think of one that it wasn't that great. I mean, the it'd probably be something where we were doing it outside and it was like super hot. They filmed some things at the desert and stuff like that, so it did get hot depending on where we're at.
I see. And let me just say this too about Zane, though, that he was a very important character, a very vital character to In Space, because when the chips were down for all the Rangers, when they were battling the Psycho Rangers in Five of a Kind, it was Zane that actually, saved then became the catalyst to actually helping the Rangers destroy the blue Psycho Ranger.
Yeah, yeah. So evidently I had a lot of power, huh? It always came in at good timings. I've been told that there's a book, a Power Ranger book, that supposedly says Zane is one of the most powerful Power Rangers or something like that. Have you ever heard of that?
I heard that because, I think he was more power. I mean, they're both pretty powerful because I think Andros could do telekinesis. Zane could do telekinesis. Like the characters were very, powerful. Like, I mean, they had like they weren't like humans. I mean, they were like supernatural powers.
Yeah. We just didn't have to wear capes.
Oh, It's the reverse of Batman. You know, Batman wears a cape, but he doesn't really have powers. He has a
Exactly.
belt.
That's right.
And definitely, like, I did want to ask you about, like, were there any funny stories you have, like, on set, though, filming in space? Anything you could, off the top of your head?
I mean, there was some pranks that were played and some jokes that were done, but as far as anything that was just really stand out, that was a good one. No, not really. You know, I was only in, I don't know, something like 12 episodes. And generally when I was there, you know, your call time, like you get time you got to go in. Um, from the time that you're supposed to be there to the time that you're getting started, whether it's makeup, wardrobe, rehearsal, setting up the blocks in the room where we're filming. So there wasn't a whole lot of time to kind of horseplay around. And it seems like at lunch, anytime we were trying to play around, they were always saying, "You guys stop that." It's like, you're really taking the fun out of everything. You know, we'd go over there and we'd hang out with the stuntmen and learn some of their martial art stuff. And they don't do that. You're gonna get hurt. We're not gonna be able to film if you get hurt.
Wow. Now, were you like, and I gotta ask you this question too, like, cause I mean to piggyback some of the questions though, but one question I have, like, I mean, you have, that you met, we've talked about what different kinds of gifts Spence gave to the actual Rangers. My question is to you is, do you still have the series on DVD, the In Space series, or no?
I I have something kind of cooler. It's not here, so I can't show it to you, but
No problem.
at work, when I left, I asked them for a reel. In other words, kind of like little pieces that I was in so that I can use it to apply for another job or another acting thing. And instead of just giving me like one or a couple of clips, they literally gave me the VCR tapes from the studio that have all of the numbers on the back of the tape. You know, it's not like it says Power Rangers that you went to Walmart and bought or Blockbuster and rented. It's I think it's blank on top, and on the back side of it there's a little strip of paper, and it has like a bunch of different numbers, you know, the episode, the slate, there's a bunch of cool stuff on that. But after several years, I thought, oh man, those are probably losing their quality, you know, because VCR tapes biodegrade. So I had a guy take them and turn them into DVD. And unfortunately, the DVD turned out to be pretty grainy. You know, like the quality had already been lost quite a bit. So I can go on Netflix and get a much better quality than what I've got, but I have the cool tapes that came from the set.
Awesome. The reason I asked that, sir, was that because back in the day, like, I was the type of kid that would record episodes of Power Rangers on VHS, and one of the VHS has a marathon of like episodes, and one of the tapes on the marathons is A Date with Danger. And I have a converter too, like a DVD to VCR to DVD recorder, and I was gonna ask if you wanted to, like, I can make you a copy of that actual marathon. I believe there was an In Space on there. There was a Lost Galaxy episode, a Lightspeed Rescue episode, and Dino Thunder episode.
How many times did you watch all that?
Growing up as a kid in the 90s and early 2000s, a lot.
I'm
And
surprised he didn't wear it out by watching it so much.
I'm shocked too. That's why I had to convert it. I got it. My parents got me a DVD converter, so I converted that tape into a DVD. So if you like, I mean, I could definitely make you a copy of that marathon.
Yeah, we'll talk about it in like the message that you send me.
Sure, not a problem. I do have a couple of more questions before we conclude the interview. Um, Memories of like I mean, when we talked about least favorite and like that, did you have like a scene or like any kind of line that you were like, ugh, why do I have to deliver this, or like a line that you were proud of?
I think the one that was kind of embarrassing was the one where I was a clown and I tried my best to play the part, and I was supposed to kind of like skip across this little area and go down some steps, and yeah, I fell in this
Ooh.
huge the shoes were huge. So obviously, yeah, I fell. That was pretty embarrassing. So yeah, that wasn't my favorite episode, but I do have a picture of me from that day.
I see. And one of the last questions I'm going to ask though too is that what has, and this is I asked this question because a fan asked me to ask Christopher this, and that was like, has your experience on In Space like left what did your experience or lessons on your experience on working with In Space left you?
Hmm. I would say that probably the best thing to that is that was my longest acting job. In other words, you know, like with Pleasantville, I think I was done within 3 days. The Saved by the Bell was, you know, half a day's worth of work. So that was the biggest, longest job that I had. So it helped me realize that there are the things are getting better. You know, in other words, I'm hopefully not going to be doing 1 day gigs. I'm going to get 2 days or 2 weeks or 2 months or maybe something for a year. So it opened my eyes up to think that bigger and better things were coming. As far as learning how to, you know, get along with the cast, because I've been on sets before when some of the cast members didn't like each other, and that was kind of hard to deal with, but we all got along really good. And to learn that you can be on a set with everybody that's happy, or you can be on a set with some, you know, spoiled eggs. But I really enjoyed the time on there. I didn't know that it was going to be big today, what I was doing back then. You know what I mean? Like I was there just to do my job and my acting thing, and going down the road with hopefully another one that's bigger and better each time. But it was a stepping stone, and I was very glad that I could be a part of that. So I owe a lot to them.
Very cool. And before we conclude, because this is an open forum, you can talk about. This is a time where you can talk about or say anything you want. The floor is yours, sir.
All right. There is going to be a time that Chris and I and Patrick are going to be at a comic book store together, and I think there's actually going to be 3 that we're going to do in one weekend. So we're going to call it some kind of in space tour or something like that. I don't know. It's just the 3 of us being funny, but it's going to be up in, say, Illinois, Ohio, Indiana area. So if you guys are up that way and want to come and say hi, be watching, so that when we post it, you'll know where we're going to be.
Awesome. And if everything goes well with the COVID and things start to die down, I hope PalCon returns because I'd love to see you guys again. It was such a thrill seeing you guys because I waited. This was my first Power Ranger convention that I've ever been to, and I waited 20 years for something like this to happen. And it was such an honor and pleasure to be in the same room as you, Christopher, Roger, and Steve Carderas. I think that's how you pronounce his name, Steve Carderas.
Cardenas.
Cardenas, pardon me.
You're okay. I didn't want to I didn't want to correct you, but
No,
yes.
please correct me if I'm saying something wrong. I want to know if I'm wrong.
Yeah,
Um,
Cardenas.
I do want to say thank you for not only this interview, which I consider this a honor and privilege and pleasure because I've been a fan of yours since I was 9. I mean, not 8, 9, pardon me, jitters. I was a fan of yours since I was 8, and I doing this interview, I feel like I'm 8 again. I feel like this is 1998 again.
Right.
But also, thank you for those memories that you gave me as a kid watching Power Rangers in space. You are not only a Power Ranger legend, you are a 90s legend and also a Fox Kids legend to every fan growing up in the 90s, including myself. And definitely, I'm glad I earned your respect. For to add on, Instagram. Well, would you be able to follow my page on Instagram?
Yeah, I'll get you on there.
And also, I'm going to send you a copy of this interview so that way you have it. Because
Sure.
I'm going to post it on my page. That way, I'll send you a copy of the link. So that way, you'll always have a copy of it.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I know another one that I'm trying to get something in Arizona. So if anybody out there is listening to this and they know of any conventions in, say, Arizona, send them to me so that I can hit them up, comic book stores and stuff like that. That way, maybe I can go and see some people there.
Very cool. And let me just say that I am always going to be Team Zane. I'm always going to be Team in Space. because
I'm Team Pete.
no, but you know what? You're a hell of a Team B. Thank you again for the memories. Thank you for this interview. And yeah, like I'll send you a link to this interview like as soon as it's done, as soon as I'm done with the editing. But again, thanks again. You made and also you're the third Power Ranger I ever interviewed.
But now you've had 31 guests.
31
Look
guests,
at you.
and most of them were villains.
That's crazy. Well, keep on going, man. I'm proud of you.
Thank you, and you have an awesome night, sir. And it's again, you're a legend, and I'm honored to have you.
Thank you.
Have a good night, sir.
Let's rock it.
Let's rock it. Bye bye.